We're going to get started here very shortly. I'm going to do a brief introduction to CreativeLive and how everything works here. CreativeLive, in case you're new to this, in case you're a fan of Felix or Sue and you just come here for the first time, welcome. We love to have you. CreativeLive is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week educational network. What we do here is we stream educational content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in 5 different channels. We have educational content in photo and video, art and design, music and audio, craft and maker, and money and life. And we are always broadcasting something. If you click that bar at the top of the page, it'll drop down and it'll show you what we are currently broadcasting. You'll see some of them have a live tag, some of them do not. The live ones are courses that we are currently broadcasting, like this one that you are watching right now, assuming you're watching it live and not on the rebroadcast. If so, hello, rebroadcast. I just completely threw myself off. So, we have live and we have pre-recorded content that we are rebroadcasting again. No matter which one you're watching, we love for you to come and check out what is on the site. Now, this is the lighting challenge, natural versus studio. The way that we work here is that as we are broadcasting it live, or as we are doing one of those rebroadcasts, you can watch for free, and we love when you do. We love it when you come and you share your thoughts and you join in the conversation around the course around the world. Now, if you are not able to watch the entire thing live, or if you want to watch a past course, the option that you have is to purchase anytime access to the course. Our courses are very affordable, and you have anytime access to rewatch and re-see all of the content that you saw during the live event. This course costs $149 for the 2 days of content, and it's an amazing, amazing deal. Now, we do offer a live discount, so if you purchase that anytime access prior to the end of the workshop, you can get it for the discounted live price of $99. So as you're watching the content, if you are going to have to leave partway through it, consider making that purchase, and then you can watch the rest of it, and you can rewatch the segments that you already saw. Now, as we are doing this live, we love it for you to join in our worldwide conversation. We have a social classroom that you can join in by clicking the Chat Live with Class Participants link, which is below the video feed that you are watching right now. If you click that, it opens up a new window where you can share your thoughts and ask questions with all the other viewers around the world. Now, if you ask those questions, and Susan and I, whenever we are able, will jump in and ask Sue and Felix those questions for you. We love to hear your thoughts about what the course is doing for you, what you're learning from it, and we also love to hear those questions so that we can make sure that the course is exactly what you need it to be. With that, folks, I do believe that I am about ready to be done here. So I'm going to introduce our 2 wonderful, wonderful instructors. Now, the first one, of course, needs no introduction if you are a fan of ours here at CreativeLive. Sue Bryce is a glamour and portrait photographer who was born in New Zealand, shot in Australia, won a huge amount of awards there, and has since grown to become an amazing worldwide phenomenon whose message has changed the lives of women and, I would just say, people around the world. She is a natural light-focused shooter. Now, our other instructor, Felix Kunz, is a wonderful commercial and editorial photographer. He was born in Berlin, raised in London, now is based in New York, and he is an amazing photographer in his own right. He's also assisted for the likes of Annie Leibovitz, Mario Testino, and has learned and has helped them do amazing lighting work. So they are here to bring their skills in natural and artificial lighting. So everybody in the room, around the world, help me welcome Sue and Felix. Darling, how are you guys doing?
Really good, thanks. Yeah.
Good. How do you feel about this? Now, you're going to be doing some stuff that you've never done before. How do you feel about that?
I was just saying to the students that I've never shot with studio light, ever. So I did, in the very beginning of my career, in about 1992-ish, had a softbox which counteracted the studio light. So originally and then of course we did away with the softbox. So yeah, it's been 20 years since I've shot, 24 years since I've shot with.
Very fun.
Yeah, any form of light.
That's exciting. And Felix, now people probably recognize you if they've seen any of Lara Jade's courses. You've been the lighting director for those. But this is your first time here as an instructor in your own right. How do you feel?
It's, from the tip of my toes to the top of my head, just tingling with excitement. So. And, hearing the students, I kept saying to Sue last night, I can teach this stuff, and I think we can make it not complicated. And
That's the goal.
We're going to try.
We're going to try.
I will do it. But if I can teach it to Sue, if you had that softbox,
You're teaching old dog new tricks.
You probably threw it away with a smile on your face, like finally it's going in the trash.
What I love the most about these two is that they are so in sync that they wore basically the same outfit without actually planning that.
This was not planned.
So folks, with that, I'm going to leave you two.
I feel like Lara Jade right now.
I'm going to leave you two to it. Take it away.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks. So, I'm a natural light photographer. I've been a natural light photographer for over half my life. And the reason I'm a natural light photographer is this. Oh, by the way, before I start telling you about that, we decided to just start shooting. We're going to be shooting in the next 10 minutes because you don't need to hear my life story. You've heard that 1,000 times. You'll get to hear Felix's story throughout the day, or obviously he can come back and do his own creative life. But we decided that teaching is more important. And so we're just going to get straight into it because we've got lots to do. Yeah. So I use natural light because when glamour photography went out of fashion in the late 80s, early 90s, it looked really horrible to have that glamour flash and the Vaseline on the lens, and it was the big no-no. And so we started to take all the soft focus filters off the Hasselblad, and we started to shoot open windows and shoot with a softbox and window light. So it was a half and half. We were really trying to evolve our photography at that period of time. And around the 90s, pretty much that whole 10 year, there was a magazine called Black and White magazine, which was just for photographers. And I was captivated by it. I mean, they were half fashion, half fine art photographers, and all the best in the world. And really, for me, the most significant shift came from Herb Ritts, who was shooting mostly fashion and in the 90s supermodels in natural light on his rooftop in LA. And he really changed my world. I did away with the flash then, and I held to this. Now, I'm a very tenacious, stubborn person, and I kind of worked with natural light for long enough to make it look a certain way that I never ever bothered to learn or reconnect with lighting. Now, when I watch lighting workshops, and a lot of these guys that teach lighting workshops are my friends, and I've sat through seminars at big conventions, I've watched lighting, I don't understand it. I don't care what anybody says. I have a very high cognition, and I do not understand the way they don't interrupt me yet. The way the boys teach light. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. So when I said to Felix, he was here when we were doing Create the Incredible, and he was like, you just walked up to a window and did a shot, like in 3 seconds, that I've worked for hours to try and create light for. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, I wouldn't know how to create that light for studio light. And so I said, if you can make it look like that, then I can shoot at night. I can shoot after 3 p.m.
You can shoot Anne Hathaway at 3 o'clock in the morning. When
I can shoot in stormy weather, you know. And so we started to challenge each other to, you know, I can do this. And it's like, well, I'll just do this. And then I can do this. So it's going to be really interesting. But this is what really sold Felix for me. My favorite photographers in the world are Herb Ritts, Annie Leibovitz, and Mario Testino. And Richard Avedon, right? But they see beauty like I have never seen photographers see. They see beauty and they're masters at their craft. And I watch their work, and I'm so taken with, when you look at the way these masters photograph, you never see the light. Yeah. You just see the beauty. And when I met Felix, he's worked with 2 of them. And I was just like, tell me about that, you know, about lighting that. And because you're doing something that other people are not doing. And it's not in post-production.
No.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I mean, you know, every photographer that's tried, they've bought a softbox and thrown it away in a rage of fury. It's the same thing. You go to the studio and suddenly it doesn't look soft, it doesn't look nice, it's like that, you can tell it's shot in the studio. That doesn't need to happen. You know, there's some basic steps that just no one ever teaches. And you'll be surprised, I hope, that the simplicity with which we'll be able to do it, how we stripped it back to something quite simple. You know, I'm just going to replicate a window, and I've always said that to people. That's how you teach light. And I think it's going to be interesting when I show you some of these things.
So something that Felix started to do when we were talking about it is when he says, I'm going to replicate the window, was he's got this amazing
show.
globe, yeah.
Where's
and
mine?
we're going to bring it on anyway, but basically when I shoot, he can walk up and hold this in front of the model and take a photo of it, and what it does is
I'll explain.
It captures the light.
So I was like, how do we show someone what the light is actually doing on set? And I came up with, we were going back and forth. I said, I want a shiny ball, and we were going to like mediums and buying like Chinese therapy balls, and I was like, hang on, Christmas decorations, shiny Christmas decoration. So I have one that has a little stick, so I don't have to do this, but I want to show you. And we'll show how that works later, but you can literally see exactly the light that's affecting the subject. So we're trying to make this, we're going to make this super simple to follow through, different than anything else you've ever shot. You're not going to get a studio look from the light we're doing, and that's really the big difference here. We're going to have that natural light replicated that Sue shoots so much.
So I'm going to start shooting, and I'm going to focus on sort of five styles that I work around, and those 5 styles are pretty much all of what I work with. In the afternoon we're going to go a little bit more dark and artsy, but for now the 5 sort of lighting scenarios I work towards are a flat, light, soft, beauty-ish light, and then I go just more and more contrast. And so all I do is remove more and more light. And I bounce light as much as I can. So one of the challenges with filming me shooting is I surround my clients in V-flats. So, you know, you have to work around V-flats in order to see what I'm doing, but that's the magic of what I do. So if there's any natural light questions, ask them in the segment, because there's also people that haven't mastered natural light that want to know how it looks so good coming straight off camera. And I want those questions as well, because they're really, really important. I have limits as a natural light photographer. I joke that I'm powered by God, so that can go off at any time. I can shoot from daylight hours, which is normally 10 till 2:30, safely. And our cameras now have these magnificent high ISOs, but you know, realistically, that's when I have to shoot. I have only ever been caught once in a storm where I could physically not shoot. It was too dark. I've tried daylight lights out the window of my studio, shining in. I tried that. I actually hired them and tried that.
How did that go?
Terrible. And, you know, and so really it's quite incredible. I never know what I'm going to get. So whatever this happens in this window right now, I have no control over that. I only have control over how close she stands to it and how much reflected light I send back to her. And so that I have lots of control over. So when the light goes, I'm done. And that's, you know, one of the things with what I do. So I'm going to focus on taking just some really key shots. And if you look on the keynote, the first image that I wanted to use as an example was, that is the flat beauty light on the left. In the center, I've started to bring in more contrast into the image. And on the third image on the right, it's directional light. And she's posed towards the light, which makes a difference. So I will talk about posing and lighting throughout these whole 2 days. But the idea is I do that with natural light, and then Felix has to do that with studio light. So
that's why we call it a challenge.
The next slide, if you go to the next slide, I then want him to take us up into more of a kind of fashion but portrait look, because this is how people want to be photographed now. We don't really call it glamour anymore. It's more Vanity Fair style, it's more Mario Testino, it's more Annie Leibovitz style of portraiture. It's very contemporary, and you know, it's a beautiful way. Now I can get that with natural light, but I can't get it with studio light. So Felix is going to replicate that, and that's just our morning. So I'm going to do my segment, and he's going to, and we're going to shoot the same pose and the same model, and then side by side our images to see how close we can create this lighting. So I'm really excited. I know nothing about studio light.
I wanted to say one other thing about the genesis. Why did I get into doing studio light? Because I used to shoot everything natural light. And it was actually a magazine editor one day that said, and I was shooting in Florida and we had rain come in, and she said, you're going to have to learn how to create any lighting situation anywhere. And I thought, oh. And that opens up also commercial shooting for me, because you're going to get hired to do something in the studio. That's how Sue and I first worked together. We'll do the Hollywood shoot that we did before, where Sue was hired to do, it was just your shoot, wasn't it?
Yeah, the thing is I got the brief to be a model for the Hollywood shoot, and I was like, I thought they meant, do you want to photograph it? And I was like, oh, I'd love to photograph it. And they're like, oh, we weren't asking you, because it's studio lighting. And I was like, but glamour's my thing, and Hollywood's my thing. I'll just get a lighting expert. Felix, do you want to come and do this with me? You know, so it was kind of funny that we ended up doing that.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's the best of both worlds. Like,
it gives you ultimate control, basically.
So we're going to teach Hollywood
lighting.
lighting.
That's all we're going to teach you today. Ultimate control. No,
yeah.
No biggie.
All right, so let's get started. I've got a model. I'm going to bring her on, Macy. We're going to have to kill these lights, and because I need as much natural light as I can.
It's going to get dark.
And it's going to get a little bit dark in here. And then I'm going to see how much light that I have coming from that window. So come in, Macy, and you can come and stand here. Come this way, and you can come and stand here. She's in a very glitzy gown. Beautiful. Okay, and you can come back there. And am I taking these off, these lights? Yeah. Now, I'm going to put a big V flat in front of you guys, but I'll talk around it as much as I can. All right, as you can see right now, there's lots of shadows on her face from the light. And so the first thing I do is turn off all the lights, have a look at what my window light is. And I've got two things that I can use to diffuse the light if I've got too much. One of them is this screen. But, you know, Felix and I were talking about it. These screens are $400. It's a scrim, correct?
Yeah,
I don't own one. I get pieces of fabric, you know, as you know, that are $4 a yard, and I usually curl them up in my camera bag, and I clamp them onto the blind or thing, and that is my scrim. So you can either pay $40 for a scrim, or you can pay $400 for one and look like a professional. And I often clamp this onto my blind at home with hair clips. Like I just clamp it along. I'm real MacGyver, and then I like lift up my blind. So what I do is I bring it down, clamp it on, and then I roll the blind up. And so it just hangs like a temporary curtain. So we've got both. We want to try and teach you throughout this 2 days that you can do this on the cheap as well, that you don't have to do this with expensive lighting. I think you've got
we have expensive lighting, but no one wants to spend $3,000 just to get started. But most people have a little speed light.
Yeah, true.
Or they have bed sheets, most people. And we can get some silk fabric. So we'll do setups with the proper lights, and then do the MacGyver version as well, just to show you. We have our referee, by the way, John. Wearing his referee shirt. I can't believe
All right.
that.
As you know, this is the foam core B flat. It's black on one side, it's white on the other. So the first thing I'm going to do to take a shot of her is open it all the way up. Other way, Felix.
Other way?
I want it white.
Oh, you want it white?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to turn the white V flat onto
Sue,
that
where
backdrop.
can you buy V flats?
Everybody asks me that, you know, things you can Google, Felix.
Things you can Google.
We get these from Glazers.
You do?
Yeah.
Rental.
Just a camera store.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you buy them and then you gaff tape them together.
Yeah.
They're genius.
Brilliant.
I couldn't shoot without them.
Everyone should have them.
So have a look now at the amount of light that's hitting her, and come into the center a little bit more. So this is going to do two things. One is I need to reflect the light back to my client.
I'm watching you, Sue.
And I'm trying to lighten up her face so it looks even. And then I'm lightening up the background as well, because I'm putting the V nice and close to reflect light back. If this light is too strong, can you lift that up for me, John, and just see if it works? Can you see now how diffused her face is getting? And can you see how I've evened out all the white light on her face? There's no shadow, there's no hard line, it is soft and flat. Okay, that is the light I want. Now, if it is a dark day, she walks towards the light, so come this way, towards the light. Yeah, stop. And I bring this with it. Like this comes with her. And it just keeps going with her and keeps going with her. Can I have a student just push this forward? And what it does is it just keeps lighting her up. So there it is there. Okay, now that's a lot of light on her, and it's a lot of light in this whole area. So I have to decide then whether I want to diffuse more. So I just double up on the sheer curtains and just bring it down. Or if I take her away from that bright light, I'm not going to get it even. So the evenness is what I'm looking for, the evenness on her face. And where's my tether? Let me take a before and after shot, and I'll show you the difference, because I think it's really significant. Cool, thank you. Now, as you know, most of you know, I shoot on 160, 320 and 640 ISO. I like to shoot at 2.8 because I love that paintedly drop away that you get from that f-stop, and I usually shoot on those 3 ISOs. 10% of the time I would go over 640, maybe less than 10% of the time. 640 is my go-to ISO. Generally in natural light, it's what the camera's reading that I like. So it's always where I'm at. If I get too slow, then obviously I want to speed it up. Felix, I kind of need you to fan her hair maybe.
Sure.
I'm going to put a little bit of life into her hair.
Forward. Oh, it's right here. This is...
All right, are you okay holding that, John?
Yeah.
You're not getting any movement. So we don't use fans. We can use, boards. You can use reflectors to blow hair just for some movement. There it is. All right, what I want you to do, Macy, is just kick out onto one hip so that, and just let this arm go around a little bit further. That's it, beautiful. Okay, we're not getting much movement there, but let's see. And just lips together and just relax your mouth. All right, so here I'm at 2.8, I'm at 640, my shutter speed is 250, and I'm just going to take a shot. And I've got a nice even exposure straight away.
Right, I'm going to start looking here what you're doing, Sue.
Where's my tether coming up? Oh, it's on here. Okay, now, what we'll do is I'm going to just shut this down.
Yeah, let me just...
Can you just shut this down first so I can just quickly take what it was this reflector is doing? So I'm not going to change my exposure. And that's the difference. That reflector is giving me so much bounce right now. That's the difference, okay? So I have to have that reflected light. I also always cut my V-flats really small like this, because often when I'm looking at her face, I can bring that reflector in really close, but sometimes I just need to put a bounce in here. Now, sometimes I've been shooting on my own. I'll get a chair and I'll put this here. Or I'll go like this and I'll push it against my model's leg, my client's leg, push against me. Yeah? And I'll literally do that. Like I do what I have to do to bounce light. I get people to stand. I get assistants to move around like this. I mean, this little thing here will save your life, because that big reflector is one thing. So those 2 shots is really all that I'm looking for. Is there any questions around that? You might think that sounds, what I just said sounds really basic, but I do not see many people achieve that.
So you're saying basically when you start off, you get your model and just move her to where you want that side of the face, and that way you know where to move the V-flat to, and you got it?
So if it's a dark window, I need to get her closer to the window and I need to bring the V-flat with her. If it's a bright window, I've got to pull her away. But the problem is that white board is not going to reflect the same amount of light unless it's a certain distance from the window. So it's better to be brighter and reflect more light and then adjust your camera setting than it is to try and get away from the brightness. Because the more I took her away from the brightness, walk away from the window into the reflector, it still didn't change the shadow on her face. That reflector is too far away from the window. So I'm bringing her further away from the hot light and into the reflected light. Only when she's standing in there is she bright enough. So I just bring her closer to that window, which most people don't do. They're worried about the hot light. And so now it's there. So come back to here, and I'll just start shooting now, and then I'm just going to start building in more contrast, okay? So,
Sue, let me get the reference for the first look on the Christmas ball.
I haven't shot it yet, so let me shoot one and then you can shoot it. Okay, do we need this? Drop it, Felix? No, it's not enough. Okay, just bring in this reflector a little bit more. So, why do I have one reflector's going to her, the other one is bouncing a shell of light onto the backdrop? Why? Okay, let's have a quick look at that. I'll show you why. Because what I want, just pop that, how about, bring your chin around this way, bring your chin into, that's it, stay there. Now, what I'm going to do is, because I'm shooting at 2.8, I'm at 250 shutter speed, 640 ISO, there's my shot there. I've got a good drop away to that background. If I want that to look softer, I just need to pull her off that backdrop, right? And I never shoot close to the backdrop. That, to me, is where I want to be, usually about 1 metre away from the backdrop or a little bit further than 1 metre. It makes a big difference. Okay, so that is my first lit shot.
All right, can I just have I want to look around this and see. I usually, if I'm trying to figure out light, I'll just go where the model is, scoot her over, there we go, and just look where the light is. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to be replicating the window light that's coming from her right. And Sue, would you mind if she holds this? Let's do this. Like, I've got this mounted on a stand. It's very, very complicated setup here.
Just pop it where she was standing. Just
just
move to the right, Macy. Oh, you're going to hold it? Oh. Okay.
Yeah, if you hold it in front of your face, then we have a reference with your face behind it. Just in front of your nose.
Come and stand back in here then.
Yeah, right there. Perfect. And then just getting quite close.
Lower, lower. That's it.
And if we pull that up on the screen, you can see why it's so genius. Get a bit closer.
Just bring your chin forward, ball.
The wonky ball on that stick, look at it. But, and we'll put this in the download as well, but if you can see here, you can see exactly what light sources, the main light source is coming from here, and you can almost see as well how much that light is reflecting off the side. You have to do a little bit of thinking to get that sphere into kind of something you can replicate, but that's what this image I'm going to use to replicate that light for Sue. That's all I have to do. That's as simple as it is. There's nothing more complicated to it.
So this was the only geek moment I was going to allow Felix with the black ball. Because he was like, I want to shoot a black ball. And I was like, why?
It looks so good.
It's a black ball.
Did you just make that joke?
But I just thought to myself afterwards, it didn't make sense to me. I was like, no, I don't want to teach lighting the way people teach lighting. Just don't give me technical stuff. Just show me how to work the light. And then I realized something. He actually recreates my windows, shape and height and everything. So he's not going to show me a lighting setup. He's going to manipulate studio light to make it look like my manipulated natural light.
You know, when I have it set up, you should be able to do all the same things exactly.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay, get your ball out.
Pardon? Let's do one without the model in it. Just, sorry, my love. Yeah, just right there.
And you actually need to go this way a little bit, matey,
because you're going to make it all. You're going to make it all gold. Just scoot past that V flat for us. Just go that way. There you go. You can walk around as much as you like. It looks beautiful. Thank you, Sue.
There's your shot.
Good. There's our references.
All right. This is something I soon learned. I can't put my tether down, so this is something I learned that really blew me away. I learned that if you swap the white V flat for a black V flat, like this, just jump up and help. Back to there. Yeah, perfect. If you swap the white for a black, what does the black side do? Sucks out light. Okay? So now, when she comes to stand back in here, I'm essentially exacerbating the fact that the light is coming from one side. I need you about 1.5 meters away from the backdrop and over here. And so right now, towards that light. Right now, she has a really strong light. I'm going to take that shot because I want you to see it. Because now the contrast in this image is coming in very, very strong. All right, so all I have to do is take my little half, my little third, and just bring it into her face. Okay, so that black is still sucking all the backdrop colour, and it's putting contrast all around her shadow, but this little wee thing here is bouncing light to her face. Can I have a Danielle or a... Okay. I just want to get somebody to hold the reflector.
I'll do it.
So if you want to go on that side, yeah. Okay, so now when I lift up my camera, I'm on the same settings. Just chin down just a tickle, Macy, that's it. I'm on still 250, so let's see how it reads. And I'm starting to get more contrast in my image.
What white balance are you on?
Whatever you set.
What was that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. John, what is it?
5400 for the strobes yesterday.
We set it at 5400, okay.
Okay, so now what we're doing is I'm slowly bringing in more contrast around her body and around the backdrop, okay? So let's do one more. Well, do you want to shoot the ball?
No, because all I need is this, and
that.
you're going to do the rest. I mean, all I need is the window.
And you're going to control it from that and just add more contrast.
Yeah, and the rest you can control.
Okay, so the second one is I get another V-flat. V-flats are our friends, and you
can... Get a C-stand? Yeah.
And I'm going to put it where John is.
We're getting a stand.
Okay, it's going to take a while. So John, slide this down, the chair. Slide the chair towards you, and then you can hold this side, and then you won't be in the way.
Yeah, I'm going to put a C-stand here.
I know, but you won't be in the way, because I want to keep going. Come stand this side, and then I can slide this here.
Got it.
So now what I'm doing is I'm going to open a second V-flat.
Can I just be a geek for a minute, Sue? Everyone goes, what's a C-stand? And why is it called a C-stand? It's just a metal stand, and it's called a C-stand because a company called Century originally manufactured it. It's not any... I always look at them and go, they don't look like a C shape. Why is that? Oh, sorry, Sue.
Okay, too much.
Too much.
Half a black. Okay, so this is what we call... I need someone to hold that for me. This is what we call the black tunnel. Okay, we're going to make a black tunnel around her, but still use the lighter backdrop. And it's just going to bring in more contrast. Now come and stand here, Macy. And now step towards me. So this is putting lots of contrast into the background and lots of contrast into her. Then I get my half reflector. And my half reflector is just going to go up to Macy's face. Okay, and that could be half of this. I could literally do it with this. That's right, I'll just fold it in half. Like I jimmy light. This is it for me, right there. And what I've done is I've put lots of contrast. So if you come and hold that for me, John, I can take a shot.
You're just going for the face, really.
Okay, so now I'm a stop under, but I'm going to take a shot. I haven't changed my setting once. The reason I'm going to take it is as you darken your image, the meter in the camera gets confused by the white skin, the dark hair, and the contrast that's coming into the image, and it's going to ask me to up my exposure. So I'm shooting one stop under. This is something I commonly do. In high key images, backlight and white, I shoot 1 to 2 stops higher. And as I'm bringing contrast into images, I shoot 1 stop lower, always. I'm at 640 ISO. Just straighten your head up, Macy. That's it. And just a little wee baby smile is perfect. Good girl. So there I am, 1 stop under. If I push it any further, I'm getting a lot of contrast. Step towards me into the light. Come back with me, John. Yeah. So just there. That's the one. Chin down now. And so now I've got chin forward a little bit more. Good girl. Stay there. I've got lots of beautiful light. Contrast around the backdrop and to her, and I'll just keep doing this. Okay, so now my next setup.
Can I do a reference for this? Actually,
sure.
Because we've changed the shape of the light source.
Yes, we've changed the shape of the light source that's coming in on the right by putting a V-flat there.
I'm going to use this. I like holding it.
Okay, but you're in the light, so...
You're right. I'll just try to get out of the way.
Just a bit lower, Felix. I'm short.
And we'll do one without Macy in it.
Macy, come and...
Just a sachet off. There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Let's see that.
Now what I'm going to do...
And you can actually see, it kind of mimics that black. You're not getting anything anywhere else. See what's happening? You just get that main light source. And that's where your contrast is really coming from as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now what we're going to do is come back, Macy. Is in a perfect world, I would have more light in the room. So this is a very dark space, so it's putting a lot more contrast in there than I want. And so I feel like if that's happening, I shut down one of the black tunnel sides. So basically I turn one of the black tunnels to white, and it's going to open up my whole shell. Bringing in, every time I come here, just jump up and, yeah. Because then I don't have to walk around and waste time. Okay, so now, as soon as I bring the white in, I'm going to bounce light back again. Step back. So that's really beautiful. Also, watch with the black tunnel. I try and push it back to the backdrop, otherwise it causes a white leak onto the backdrop, which you don't want. And step back a little bit more. No matter where she stands, it's putting lots of beautiful contrast into the image. So I've moved it again, and I'll have a half reflector just to her face. Yep, so there, John, perfect. Just turn down a little touch. I meter on her eye, and I'm still one stop under, and now I'm at 200 shutter speed, 640, 2.8. Okay, and now I've got a really nice, dark, gutsy image, which I love.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be so neat to work all of these in their stages. It's so subtle, but it makes a huge difference. I turned that white tunnel, so now I've got half white tunnel, half black tunnel. So the tunnels are really quite amazing. If you think about it in terms of controlling natural light, the closer I bring these, you can bring this one up, and the more I open these up, the more I can block light to her. So if this one's open, and then I open that one as a long tunnel, and then I bring her forward, but I still crop it to out of the background. Now as she comes into the light, so go back, because they can get a really good shot of this. As she slowly inches into the light, look at the light coming into her face. Stop.
Oh. Right there.
And there. And so then what I'm doing now is I'm now controlling the light on her face and the light on the backdrop. And it's really neat, because by having the tunnels, I've created depth. My best images come from this one studio that they're my favourite images, and I couldn't work it out for years what I liked about this set of images. And I worked there for a long time, and I was like, what is it about these ones that is so good? And it was a big high stud, and I had this massive depth from where I was shooting into the backdrop. And now I shoot in these little tight spaces. So the more space I can pull her away from the backdrop but still control the light, was the better my shots were going to look. And so we don't often have a lot of space, and we certainly don't have big studios, and most of us have lounges that we shoot in and stuff. But the higher the stud, the better the light. And you can tell light that's in a big room.
Yeah.
So do you want to take a reference shot of that? Did I change it enough?
No, I think when we set it up, you can just put the V-flats in the same place. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So now what I want to do is take it one further. Do we have Katie? I'm going to swap Macy with Katie because she's in a dark outfit, and I'm going to show you why. So if you go that way, Macy. Felix, can you bend this around?
Yeah, sure.
In terms of being a studio photographer, I worked in a studio in the early 90s with polyboards, meaning polystyrene boards, and I love polyboards. They're the best invention ever. In the movie industry, of course, they're called bead walling.
What are they called?
Polystyrene.
No, but what are they called in the movie industry?
Bead wall.
Bead wall.
Bead wall.
Bead wall. Oh, yeah, okay.
And so one of the most interesting things about V-flats is I never shot on a V-flat until I came to CreativeLive, although I've always used gator foam, foam core, it's called, a gator foam in New Zealand, as a reflector, a short one. So my little reflector was always foam core, but my big reflectors were polystyrene because they have the best little beads of reflected light, like millions of little spheres of light, which I think is absolutely beautiful. But one thing that really struck me when I came to CreativeLive was I was trying to show you how to shoot on the cheap, natural light, no expensive backgrounds, and I opened up the black V-flat and I started to shoot natural light on it, and there's something about the black foam core when it's photographed that just makes you cry with joy. Makes me cry with joy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Katie, come in this way, Katie. And Katie's going to come and stand in here. And as you can see, this is my lighting setup. I've got a black V-flat side on to the window. I've got the same sort of rectangle coming in. Now, I'll take whatever light I can get. If it's a low window, I'll take it. If it's a high window, I'll take it. I'll just have to bounce differently. Okay, but I need Katie's face to look flat and light, and it is perfect right now. So I'll show you this, and then I'll take that V-flat away and show you what it really looks like. So just chin forward a little bit, Katie, and a little baby smile. Okay, I'm just going to change my exposure. And I'm at now 640 at 2.8. I'm going to shoot a stop under because you have to, because she's on a black background. A little wee bit more of a smile. Good girl. Okay, now she's got an even light source going right around her face right now.
Oh my God.
I mean, it doesn't get better than that. Now take this away, Felix. Take it back there.
Sorry, stunned.
Okay, now, dark room on this side. Katie's standing in the same spot. Little wee baby smile, Katie. Good girl. Now that's how much light that V-flat is giving me.
Oh my God.
All right, now, it's okay to bring in contrast, but not like that on the face, and especially not with glamour or beauty images. Because you end up retouching shadows. Now, I do not remove bags and wrinkles. I remove the shadows underneath them. Right? That's what it's exacerbated by light. So the whole point is that I have two options here. One is, if I don't have a reflector, come this side, Felix, so you're out of her light. Turn this way towards me, Katie, and just kick this hand back. So that's a go. Now bring your chin into the light like this and look down. Okay, I can bring her face, if I had to shoot in this, I'm going to turn her towards the light because I want her face to be in that light. Like, I want the shadow on her face to fall in the right spot. But anybody older than Katie, and that's not going to fly. So without a big reflector, we bring in a small reflector. Okay, go straight to me, Katie, and just kick her hip out. That's it. And this arm goes back a little, like around, good girl, and long chin towards me. So whenever I have an assistant too, by the way, this is something that I always do. You know, when somebody's holding a reflector and you go like this, and I always go, drop it. Like, drop it. Now I do. I'm like, drop it. And then I go like this, and I find it. There it is. It's right there. And then they hold it. You know, you've got to work the light, right?
Yeah.
So without the big reflector, which is putting lots of light into the image, I'll take the shot again. Okay, chin back this way, Katie. Back to me. No, back to me, sorry. And a little baby smile there. Good girl. Our exposure is still perfect. And we are now sitting at, I'm still at 2.8. See that baby reflector? It's just bounced in. So if you look at the shot before, can we do that, Nico? Oh, sorry, the one before that. Yeah. See that shadow?
I would like to actually shoot a reference for this, just using my magic.
Okay, so one day at a seminar, I was talking about Rembrandt lighting, but I said Picasso lighting because I was nervous and I hadn't spoken to a large crowd of people. And this guy came up to me afterwards and he goes, "You said Picasso lighting, and I think you meant Rembrandt?" And I had one of those moments where I was like, I could have gone, well, duh, like that's how I'm sorry about that. And I kind of looked at him and I was like, dude, it is Picasso. It's all like... And then I thought afterwards, I should have just come clean. So I'm coming clean. But, you know, we're taught to light the face and put the shadow there and put the shadow there and put the shadow there. Well, you look at a beauty magazine and you will find just about everybody lit like a beauty dish, soft, flat light. And all I know is in terms of retouching and selling images to women, that flies 100% better. Okay, so as I bring in the contrast, I'm going to show you where it's applicable, but right now it's not. Right now I just want this beauty light. Now I'm going to bring back, oh, you want to take a reference?
Yeah, I want to take I have a beautiful...
Sue, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So there's some basic questions coming in about window light in general. Little West Side wanted to know how important is it where the windows are placed. M. Cooper Photography wanted to know this window particularly, which direction it's facing. And people are just kind of asking, you know, does it matter which?
Okay, it's like the ottoman question. How big is your ottoman? Do you know how many people email me that? How big is it? Big enough for a woman to lie on. I don't know. Ottomans don't come in a standard size. I buy one in every city I go to. You know, what direction are you standing in? I don't know. Okay, wait a minute. I have this unnerving sense of direction. I'm going to say we are northeast? North?
Pretty close, yeah. This is
South Lake?
East. That's south. North, south, east.
Okay, so we're northeast or?
Yeah. If the window's from the east, but it's
I
Seattle.
take whatever's shining through the window. And I don't know when. What I do is I measure the light in a studio. When I get a studio, I measure when it's at its best. That's my shooting time. Okay, so Felix is going to eliminate that because he'll be like, well, now you can shoot any time, any weather, any day. But the truth is I have to take what I get. So I never look at direction of light. I don't, and people ask me questions like, is the light different in New Zealand, north facing, as it is in, I'm like, I don't know. I shoot all around the world. It shines through the window. I grab a white board and I reflect it back.
Same sun everywhere.
Yeah, so, okay.
All right, let's do a reference of this. Sorry, Katie.
Stay there, Katie.
Lovely. And then Katie, just join me over here and we'll do a blank one. Thank you. And you can see on there just what that reflector is doing is just pushing some of that light back on her.
Nice and soft.
Nice and soft.
Okay, so we take that out, we put Katie back in. Now I want to put the white V-flat back there because I want to show you something. Now I'm going to use the black Beauty Soft Light and I'm going to hit the backdrop as well. So I'm going to open the white V-flat and make a white shell. So I call them shells because it's like shell. I create like a half shell. And this time, all the way around, that's it, stop. Now what I'm doing is I'm not only reflecting light back to Katie, I'm reflecting light to the V-flat. And this is really beautiful. So I've been creating images with this soft light on the back that I think is so gorgeous. So Katie, turn this way and just actually hold your elbows, that's a girl, and just drop back into your shoulders and long chin towards me. Can you just scooch this way a little bit so you're in the middle? That's a girl. And now just open your shoulders up to me just a little bit more. Okay, so here I've got light hitting her face. I've got light coming in from here. I've got, you know, a good meter and 1.2 wide of light. I've got this black polyboard. I want a long chin towards me, good girl. And what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to meter to her eye. Same setting, but what's happening is my shutter speed is slowing down. Okay, so 2.8, 640, I'm staying here. And a little baby smile, Katie, good girl. And I'm slowly going to pick up that background. And when I pick up the background, I can increase the light when I'm edit. Okay, so I can put that light into there and see how it's picking up, and it's almost like a navy blue. And it is so pretty. From now, I want you to open your shoulders up to me. That's a go. No, hold your hands here. Just open your shoulders up and just push your chin towards me. Good girl. Stay there. Okay, so now I'm just going to bump it up one more notch. Chin up.
On your exposure?
Yeah. I'm still under on my internal meter. And I just want to pick up that background color, because to me, it's what's so beautiful about this.
So you just went from 1/100th of a second to 1/80th of a second. That's it. Okay.
All right, so I've got this beautiful soft light, and now I know how to work that. Now let's put more contrast into this image. So all I have to do is put a black shell and bring the half reflector back. So give me, I don't want a full black, I just want that. Okay, so that's enough to draw light away. Look at Katie's face now. Look how much light's hitting her face. It's dark. Let's take a shot. And now I want the half reflector. And it's right there. Okay, so now I'm putting more contrast in. So I'm going to shoot this nice and low. And then she's going to have more dark on her face, but not enough for it to be like the first image. Now that's how much shadow should be on her face. Okay, for a beauty image, for a glamour image, for a portrait image, for any image of women, that's what should be there. And that's just enough to give her a beautiful shape to her face, and it just looks perfect. Right, so now what I do is I pretty much grab a third V-flat. Okay, so all I'm doing is just eliminating and eliminating and eliminating light. Right here. My third V-flat is right here. And now I've just made that window smaller. And this afternoon I'm going to make it maybe 12 inches wide and shoot a slit of light. Okay, just a slither. And now, if I look at Katie now and I take a photo of Katie, no, drop that down, John, with no reflector, sorry, I did blink. That's where she is, right there. So if you have a look, there it is. So I bring the reflector back. Not a lot is changing, but for my final image, it's going to be quite significant because now there's no light on the backdrop, and it's going to be really, really obvious what I've done.
And there's no light on the backdrop just because you've cut out some of it?
Yeah, no, because I didn't put the reflector on the backdrop.
Right. Oh, because you had that as a white shell.
So I had a white shell which was reflecting light. The reason I have the V open on this side is to reflect light back at the backdrop. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get her face more into the light. There it is. Hold your elbows again, that's it, and just hand underneath though, swap over. That's a girl. On your stomach would be good, just on your hip, that's it. Long chin towards me, Katie, that's the one. And I'm still shooting one stop under. I've got a nice contrast image, black background, beautiful. Now, I feel like there's still a lot of light on her, and that there is actually brighter than my camera. So it does look like there's a lot of light. So I'm going to just cut it down a little bit more. Lean back a little bit, Katie. Okay, and I just drop my exposure to 2 stops under to just hold back the light that I'm capturing on her face.
And you did that by just changing your shutter speed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the weird thing is everybody always says about my work, it looks really paintedly. And the idea is I don't paintedly do anything to it other than alien skin. Like what I capture is at 2.8 because I love that drop away because I think it does look really magical. And I feel like it's if you keep that f-stop and just go slower and slower. With a higher ISO, there's more grain, it looks more filmic. And that's just the style that I learned, and that's my thing.
So people ask you all the...
Actually, we had a question from Iggy. He was wondering if there's a reason why you're shooting at 1/250th at 640 ISO instead of 1/25th and 300 ISO. Doesn't that bring noise and grain into it?
That's what I want. I want my digital to look like film. I think my digital looks like film. I shot for 12 years on a Hasselblad medium format camera with film. Everything I created through that period of my career is my favorite work. I do own that camera still, and it's, you know, it's a hassle to shoot film, and I am very pro-digital. I believe in the evolution of all photography. I like high ISO, I like grain, I like noise in my image, and I like my digital to look more like film. Sharpness is not my priority. It never has been. I'm not interested in it, and what I'm interested in is gutsy, filmic looking portraits. And so I definitely push up and I shoot on 640 at 2.8, and then I adjust. If I'm in very bright light and I can't shoot wide open, I have a little bit of a secret. I shoot on a 9-stop density filter. I take the density down in order to stay wide open. It bumps all my highlights down, gives me that flat look, which gives me this beautiful form of light, which I love. I'm very rarely in that situation where I want to shoot at 2.8 and I can't because there's too much light, but it does happen.
We're going to do that this afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also Felix, when he set up the lights, he put my neutral density filter on because he couldn't get below 5.6 because the lights were so bright.
That's going to be one of the challenges, getting down to 2.8. But we want to keep that soft background that you get from your shower depth of field.
So that's something that natural light photographers can't do, is get their light source down.
Now, and Sue, when you're shooting this with a little bit lower amount of light than usual, would you shoot any differently if the model had darker hair than Katie does?
I don't, actually, because the reflector picks up enough in the dark hair. I do tend to not cut down the light so much if they have black hair, because it does, but then I love shooting dark skin on dark backgrounds because it's so beautiful. But yeah, no, I don't really make a lot of allowances for dark hair at all. Do we have a time check? Okay, we're doing good. All right, so now what I want to do...
Can I do a reference for this?
Yeah, we changed it.
Let me just grab my...
Can we just keep it close?
Yeah, it's right there. Could you just hand that to me? Thank you. It's a bit more elegant than holding it. And then I don't block the light either if it's on a stand.
Can we just keep it like jacked up and ready to go instead of having to wind it up every single time?
There you go, Katie. If you just stand... No, sorry, stay with
there.
it. Yeah. And then Katie, join me over here. Thank you. These are just for me to cheat, basically, later. Okay, good.
All right.
Thank you.
So now what I'm going to do is I really want that bar stool.
Okay.
Yeah. So I need that bar stool. So Caitlin, you might need to come in and just hold the scrim. And I need an apple box, because I just want to show you how to open up some light.
You're trying to get her on it?
Yeah. So there's two more looks that I want to achieve right now. One of them is more of a like fashion background style look that I try to give all of my clients, because I want them to experience what it's like to look like they're in a magazine. So I try and make it look as fashion as I can. And I learned that the lighting in fashion lighting is pretty variable. It's, everybody's got a different style. But what I learned was it was really about the posing and how they were posed and where I shot. So fashion models are tall and lean, and they're often shot quite low. We never shoot down on fashion models. That's a normal human being gets shot down on. A fashion model gets shot up too, and because they've got lean bodies and they look fabulous and you can shoot on any angle. So what I would try and do then is just create more of a flat beauty dish light and then pose them more fashion. So I'm not going to change the light source here. All I'm going to do is open this up a little bit, maybe let in just a little bit more light. She's got a really good black shell. It would be easier if you came forward, Katie. That's it. And as you can see now, let's just take a photo of Katie's face in the light. Okay, I haven't put a reflector in there, so she's just right on the edge of that light. So she is sitting from this side. If you can see on this camera, she's sitting almost out of the shell. And then what I'm going to do is turn her this way, and I'm going to get her to put her right foot up on there. That's it, not her left. Okay, you're just going to have to let your left foot hang right up onto your toe, Katie. And then I want you to lean forward with this elbow, that's a girl, and then put this one here. All right, so I'm going to try and create more of a fashion style pose just so I can show you this light. Then what I'm going to do is, like most people, and Katie's not a professional model, she's sitting really good posture. So I'm going to get you to push back here so you've got more model posture, like that's it. More. Okay, now in this shot, I've got her exactly how I had her standing. I've just brought her forward a little bit more. I've opened up my light source. John can come in and give me a reflected light. Beautiful. Katie looks amazing. And I just want to do this shot like this. Okay. And maybe give me, this hand's too obvious for me. Let's put it down. That's a go, and work your shoulder. That's it, push your chin towards me, Katie. Okay, I'm going to go with, and slight tip this way. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to white. Just pop in a little bit of a backdrop.
One full open or just a half?
Push right back, John.
Back towards the backdrop?
Yeah, that's it. That's enough. Nice big open shell. I've got a white light, which means the background is now picking up light. Okay, so first thing that's going to happen is I need you, John, just on her face, is I'm going to shoot that there. And it's changed it, it'll change it quite. See that blue coming in the background? When I put my raw images, when I process my raw images, I'm going to bring that light forward. So I've gone from a black, darker.
Bring out your shadows?
Yes.
Yeah.
Always. And also what I want to do is see the triangles that I've created under her arm in the pose. So if you go back to the main camera of Katie, at the moment that on the screen looks like she's just white skin floating on a black background, but there's triangles in her body, and we've created triangles here, push back through there, Katie. We've created gaps here. We've created gaps that make posing look really good. So I want to try and create that. So that flat light for me is pretty much everything. If I can work in this area. And what I love about being in a natural light studio is if you're being photographed with friends, they're often there getting their hair and makeup done. She's very secure in her shell. I found when I started to put polystyrene boards and V-flats around my models or clients, they instantly feel safe. You enclose them into the walls. There are a few hassles with the V-flats. One of them is sometimes moving them on your own. You look like an idiot, because you swing one that way, it swings that way, you juggle with it, hits you in the head. They do fall, so sometimes, you know, somebody will, and I've had V-flats fall towards a client and they scream. It's like, they're like, ah! But they don't just put their hand out, you know, it's like, it's going to hit me, it's going to hit me. It's just such an interesting way to work. But my ultimate studio would have one window, one reflector, one black V-flat that goes to white, a bar stool and an apple box.
That's one of the big secrets on big fashion sets as well. We always block it off. So because you have this huge studio and no one wants to sit with the entire crew watching them, so you just kind of, we're always creating these boxes that we put the subjects in. Always.
That's interesting, because you know what? I feel like even I've been shooting for 25 years and I shoot in front of you guys and there's people watching and it's kind of weird, but when I'm shooting a proper shoot, I don't want people watching me.
Yeah.
Like, you know when you're in that zone and you're just like trying to make it work? You're trying to connect with your client. You take the photo, it's not working. You're wondering what you're doing wrong. You're trying to remember your default poses.
And then if you still have to think about everyone else watching, that it's just, yeah, you just want to stay
Horrible.
in that moment. Yeah.
And all I want is for everyone to look away. Just look away right now. And it's so subtle. I went to a wedding, a friend's wedding, and I photographed it. And I watched the hairstylist spend an hour and a half on the bride's hair, and it was starting to get to that uncomfortable point where you're holding up everybody, the ceremony, the photographer. And I looked at the hairdresser, and she was doing a remarkable job, but she was taking too long. And I looked at her, and I just saw this internal panic. And she wasn't showing anything, but I know that feeling so well of being shooting with people watching and it's not working and oh my God. And I could see it, and I just said to all of the bridesmaids and the mother, can I speak to everybody in the bedroom? We're going to take some bridesmaid shots. And I pulled them out and I was like, we all just hid in the bedroom for 20 minutes and let her finish, because the pressure that was on her was unbelievable. I feel like that's how I could identify it in her because I know what it feels like. I've seen people do it when they're shooting. Put a shell around you, put one around you at there, so people can't see you. And they don't have to watch you. And I am not afraid of, if you want to watch, I'll say, can you just sit down for a bit? I'll call you when I'm ready. I'm just doing some tests because I'm really just finding my groove.
Sometimes I'm shooting and the subject suddenly gets uncomfortable. I'm like, what happened? And I look around and there's 100 people watching. You go, all right, everyone, clear the set. Off you go. Thank you. And then we can work back with our relaxed subject.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now what I'm going to do is take Katie out. So Katie, this camera is on, so you're going to go that way. And I'm going to bring in our boy, because this is very different. When we bring in our boys, we like boys differently than we like girls, okay? It's not about the flat light to the face, and I want you to come and sit on there, but you can drop that bar stool right down. Now it's Laquan. Laquan, meet everybody. All the way down.
Does it go?
You don't weigh enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really quick, before you
going. Some questions coming in. There was a little bit of confusion about metering, and when you were talking about metering for the eye. What do you mean she meters for the eye, says TG. Photo Wanderer, I'm not sure I understand the concept of metering on the eye. Is it the iris, the pupil, the whites? I thought we were supposed to meter for skin. Well,
what I do is my focal point is my light meter, and I'm focused on the eye, so that's really my light reading is really coming from the eye. Like I only focus on the eye, and it's reading the light that's hitting the face. And I mean,
you just look at the final result and see if it works or not, right?
That's true. I do look at the back of the LCD. Just don't make the mistake of being this kind of photographer. Because, you know, you need to be with the person. Yeah. And so I'm watching in the camera, and I only look at the back very briefly just to make sure I don't need to chop down or chop up, you know, ever. I mean, it's just something you should stay connected to the person if you can. All right, now we've got a boy in our light shell. Okay, and right now we've got a white light shell, and we've got the black side, and then we've got a gap of about 1.3 meters. I'm just going to take a picture of his face, just like this, to show you the amount of light on his face. Okay, and now I'm going to take the same shot, but I'm going to take it up to, it's about here, one stop under. Okay, so boys look better without light on their face. Girls look good like that. Okay, I would never do that to a man's face. I want him to look angular and muscular. Okay, a woman wants to look soft and rounder, and a man wants to look angular and muscular. It's very intriguing that we are attracted to angular bodies, and we try to be angular ourselves, because we're not. And it's one of those things that when you see it, it makes a big difference. So John, if you shut down this V-flat just to a half black, so just close that side, what's going to happen is Laquana's going to get a totally different light on his face, and it's going to suit him. Turn this way just a touch, and eyes to me. Now, right now, I'll just focus on his eye. I'm kind of one stop under, so I'm starting to get quite low in my shutter speed, but I won't go under 40, not handheld. And so now he's going to get a very strong light on his face, and that suits him way better. Okay? Now I'm just going to stay there, and I'm just going to drop down my exposure and do it again. Now it's going to be even better. So just watching the light that's coming onto his face, watching it light. Now guys, suit that. That is strong and sexy, and it's very different. So what I do a lot with male poses is I tend to, and notice Katie was on a high stool, so it was all about making Katie's body long and willowy and beautiful and slim. But the guys, we want to make them wider, shorter and wider and stronger, with stronger light. So I would put one knee up, but I'm not going to elevate it, obviously. I don't want the knee shot, you know, the hey. I just want it enough so that when he brings his elbows out, that's it. Now, I want you to not sit so straight because you're sitting very beautifully. That's it. And as soon as he drops into his chest, his shoulders get wider. All right? His shoulders get wider. Everything gets stronger. He's in beautiful light. But I'm posing him slightly towards this light source, right? Because I'm not putting a reflector there, so I actually need a little bit more directional light on him. And let's take a shot of it. So that there is pretty much, I mean, everything about it. Laquan obviously has the most beautiful bone structure, jaw and cheeks, and lips. So he looks incredible in this light. But I would never photograph a woman like that. Not in a million years. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop my exposure down a little bit more. Now he's really strong. Check this out. I'm shooting low. I'm making his shoulders, his arms look bigger. I've got lots of contrast in there. I'm shooting it 2 stops under. I haven't changed 640 at 2.8. Okay? Do not change it. I do not change it.
So when you shoot men, do you sort of crouch, I see you crouching crouching down and shoot towards the middle of their body to make them look bigger?
He's lean. I shoot anybody lean below their eye line and anybody curvy above their eye line.
Okay.
And their eye line being his eye in relation to my camera. So that's his eye line there. If he's a bigger guy, I would probably just be there to slim him down, making his face the focus and getting him to push his chin forward. A leaner body, I go below the eye line, and that is that lens to eye. Okay, and wherever he is, I am. So if he's sitting, I'm kneeling. If he's sitting on the floor, I'm sitting on the floor. If he's lying down, I'm lying down. And then I can just adjust what position I want to make his body look better. Okay, so any questions about boys or lights or anything? Because I'm nearly wrapped in my segment. And I've created enough good standard shots for Felix to replicate.
Yeah.
But we should really do a black ball.
Reference from
What do you do, I mean, as far as like doing it on the run? Because I noticed a little earlier that the sun came out. I mean, you weren't shooting at the time, but what do you do when it happens and all of a sudden do you just...
Change my ISO.
Or just that quick and just be done
Yeah.
with it? Oh, okay.
And it can go like this. This can be a normal shoot. I'll just pretend. I'll go, click, sun comes out, damn it. Click, damn it, sun just went back in again. Click, click, damn it. Okay, wait, it's changing really fast. Okay, click, click, It can go cloud, bright, just keep going.
That's kind of everyone that does photojournalism does the same thing. They're just constantly on that dial, just going all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the trick is to make sure that you're confident enough in your camera that you're doing that without being all like, because you don't look like you know what you're doing in the back of your camera if you're playing with the back of your camera all the time. You know, and never sit there in front of your client and toggle through your images. Don't do it.
Right. So that's the... I'm interested to see. I'm making lots of mental notes here, Sue.
Good.
Yeah, you said something interesting. All right, let's get you out of the set and then just do the plain reference. Just join me over here. Yeah.
So our main focus this morning has been...
But Sue, you can already see, how much smaller and sharper that light source is. Like, it's giving you so much more shadow than that soft light we had for the girl that was bouncing back. You can see it on there.
You're really selling me that ball, Felix.
Yeah. You're gonna walk out of this and buy some Christmas decorations.
No, you can give me one. I want a Felix Coons one. I want you to sign it. I'm going to have a Felix Coons ball. And I'm going to wear it around my neck. Okay, most important thing about what I do. I think what I do is really basic. Okay, like so basic, in fact, that I don't understand why a lot of people aren't really watching that and doing that. I mean, to me, it is so easy. And yet, I don't see a lot of people replicate it very well. Maybe it's just a style that I got stuck on, that I haven't moved off yet. But at the same time, I can find images that are 15 years old, lit the same way, that are still timeless to me and my folio. So I haven't followed any lighting trends other than natural only. I've never been opposed to studio lighting. I just don't know how to do it. I'm going to ask Felix stupid questions because I'm not afraid to look stupid. I'm not afraid to ask questions that everybody wishes they could ask, but are too shy to, write it down or ask it, because I don't mind doing that. And because I actually want to learn how to do what I just did in a dark room. Because if he can do that for me, it will change my world. Now, what we're going to do tonight is, this afternoon, we're going to retouch the images. We're going to retouch mine and we're going to retouch Felix's and do a side-by-side. And then we'll show these tomorrow. We'll show everybody the lighting maps that we both use to achieve the exact same look. And I'm really excited about that. So what questions do we have for me? Because once we go over to the studio lighting, it's going to be all about setting up studio light. So natural light is done for the morning, and after lunch I do another natural light segment with more body work and just show a little bit more light sculpting with a finer light source. So right now, before we go to break, is there any natural light questions anybody has for me?
Yes, I have a question from Jay Hugs a Lot, who would like to know, when you're shooting a guy and a girl together, are you lighting the female more than the male, or are you trying to light them evenly?
Always light the female. So the little baby reflector goes towards her and away from him. So when it's a couple, I tend to turn him or her more towards the light source and him more on her side, getting the contrast from her side light.
Any questions here in the audience? We can keep going with, yeah, go ahead, right in front.
Well, just an extension of that, if you're doing a male and a female together, and you typically like to do, your shoots at 2.8, how do you change?
Okay, 2.8, I make it really, really conscious effort to get the eye line in exactly the same distance, because I want to shoot couples at 2.8. I will shoot it at 4, and I will hate it, but I do it. I will never shoot at 5.6, ever, or higher. I shoot wide open because I love how it looks. If he's a little bit out of focus, I adjust the pose. But, I mean...
To get them to line up their eyes?
Yeah. And my work is never sharp. It's never sharp. And I don't care. Yeah. It's not obviously out of focus. It's just not sharp. It's not sharp like, you can get flashlight when you can see every eyelash, and who wants to retouch that?
Right. So just again, kind of a clarification on the metering, because
Sure.
I think it might be different for this versus the studio, and I want to make sure that we get that. So are you using spot metering, matrix metering? Can you go over your camera settings a little bit?
I don't know. I've got a red box. I put it over the eye.
Love it.
What is it?
No idea.
Oh.
I'm the same. I don't use. I just go. Does it look right or doesn't it? That's.
I don't know.
End, yeah.
Can't tell you.
Well, and I kind of like that. I mean, can you talk a little bit about that approach, just as I think as something to wrap this up a little bit for this segment, is your approach to the technical versus non-technical lighting?
There's a lot of experts in this field, and the most interesting thing about all the experts is everybody has their own idea. Well, I could ask 20 photographers to do something for me in Photoshop, and I bet you they all do it a different way. And I guess I grew up from the old school of photography when digital became our world, that I just needed to make sure I was exposed correctly and that I was in focus. So I never really learned anything about spot metering. My camera has a little red focal point that I shift around. I toggle it. Okay, and this is a big question. So I never really learned anything about spot metering. It's back button focus, and I was like, what does that mean? They go, well, I focus here, and then I click here, and I go, I just focus there and click there.
I mean, the only thing you're doing is shutter speed, ISO, and aperture, and that's it.
That's how stubborn I am. I'm like, what if I just read this on Facebook the other day. I come from an era where if it's not broken, don't fix it. Okay, so I press this down to move and toggle my focal point. Then I'm both focusing and metering in my little red box and always on the eye.
What do you do for white balance?
Auto.
Okay.
I don't shift my white balance because I process in RAW and I use Photoshop, and I can change the white balance in Photoshop, so it never worries me. The only time I've ever had to adjust it was when I was shooting in a room with tungsten lighting. And I looked at the back of my camera and went, what is that?
We have to go to black and white.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But can I just say, that approach of it just, all that matters to me is what works in the end, is the same one I do for lighting. And people ask, softbox with, and then like using all these verbs to describe it. I'm like, is it soft or is it not? That's all I care about,
What I liked about what Felix did with the Hollywood shoot was he set up the continuous lights, and then he did exactly what I did. He set up the continuous lights, and then he pinned on fabric, gaff taped on bits of gator foam, and he molded the studio light the way I mold natural light. And I've never seen anybody do that. I just see them set up lighting and say, this is how you should light a portrait. And I think that looks like a studio lit portrait.
That looks like Picasso lighting.
Yeah.
All right, well, awesome segment. In case anyone is just joining us, Sue has just shown us some of her natural lighting techniques. Coming up in the next segment, Felix is going to reproduce those. So Pretty exciting, right?
Very much so.
I know Russ is going to enjoy that. All right, so I just want to remind everybody about a contest that we have going on right now for Sue and Felix's workshop. So to enter, you're going to either submit a natural light or studio light photo, and you'll go to the Facebook page, CreativeLive Facebook page, so facebook.com/CreativeLive. You'll see a photo contest button just right below our image there. So basically, we're going to have 2 winners, 1 natural light and 1 studio light. And just to make it fun, Sue is going to pick the studio light winner, and Felix will be picking the natural light winner. So we like to mix that up. We have incredible prizes. Basically, the prizes are from Alien Skin, Animoto, Lazzo Light, Triple Scoop Music, and WHCC. So that contest is going to end tomorrow at noon Pacific time, so I suggest that you get those.
And one thing, you can enter 2 pictures. You can enter
cool.
both a studio and an artificial, or a studio and natural light image if you want. So you can do one of each. So it's rare. Usually you can only enter one, but it's a little different for this one. You can enter one into both. So you have twice the chance to win.
Sweet, thanks for that, Russ. All right, well, a few comments here from the internet. GM4 Design says Sue is conducting a symphony of light. And then Wendy CM says, hey, watching all the way from Belgium. So excited for this course. Sue and Felix, thank you for being such an inspiration. Love learning this way. Ready to soak it all up and get the artistic vibe going.
I love it. We've already started doing that. And in case you have not checked out the schedule, if you want to click on the name of this course directly below the video feed and open it up in a new window, that's a link that you can open up to the course page, which gives you a lot of details and information on this course as it's going. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do over these 2 days. So this morning we've talked a lot about natural light and done a lot of posing and different setups that you can use to control the light in different ways. In the next one we're going to do studio lights, and we're going to reproduce what we did during this first segment. Then, this afternoon, we're going to do one-directional, silhouette, film noir, and nude boudoir / natural light. And then again, segment 4, we're going to do the same thing with artificial light. So that's today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about using backlight with both natural light and studio light. And then we're going to do an awesome Hollywood light setup, which is killer. If you saw the shoot that Sue was involved with recently, that she talked about this morning, Sue and Felix were involved with this morning. It was amazing, so I can't wait for that one myself. We're going to do retouching with and talk about both Sue and Felix's style for that, and we're going to end with posing manuals, lighting maps, and image review over everything that we've taught. So it's a packed 2 days. It's crazy how much they're trying to do in 2. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and enjoy all of that. We're going to take our 15-minute break, first one of the day, and we will be back for more. We're going to learn artificial light with Sue and Felix. We'll see you then.